Aokuso. This is a stacked card. Aokuso against the giant killer Reynold Quinlan. Then we're on Fox Sports again on the following Wednesday, the 26th of July. It's an historic all-female card headlined by crossover star Taylor Harris. She challenges for the Australian Super Welterweight title, which is held by Millie Agbo-Agbulan. Wednesday, the 9th of August, it continues on Fox Sports, the return of the always exciting Isaac Hardman. He takes on Japan's Kazushi Kaiohara, and then we switch to main event pay-per-view August the 23rd. Again, it is a Wednesday night, a double-header event. It features both the undefeated Nikita Tszyu and also former world title challenger Liam Wilson. So that is all that is coming up over this next little period in an exciting period on Fox Sports and main event. As I said, joined by a bunch of the fighters involved in these cards and the promoter in George Rose. George, it's been a big start to the year, of course, because you've been involved as No Limit in 4 world title fights, 2 domestically, 2 internationally, but now it seems that you're very focused on being busy domestically.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we like to do. We like to do things big, and as you said, a huge start to the year for us this year in 2023. And it's almost like a relaunch for 2023, leading into the back half of the year. And we've got some really solid fights coming up. The No Limit on Fox fights are back. We've been hanging to put a few of these shows on, and now we've got the opportunity to do it. And they're made for broadcast. It's a chance to showcase our talent. I'm actually in a little bit of awe with the lineup that I've got here next to me. Some of the best boxing talent in Australia. Yeah,
it's exciting to have them all here. As you mentioned, these first 3 shows are made for television. Let's have a look at the full lineup for next Wednesday night. So it's only 8 days away that you'll see this man in action in Paulo Aokuso against Reynold Quinlan, but it's a stacked card as well. Have a look at that. Jack Brubaker back in action, the fan favourite against Troy O'Meara. Yusuf Dib against Miles Zaluski, and Isaiah Sechi against Ankush Huda. That is a very special 4 fights on Fox Sports.
Well, look, it's a showcase of the type of fights that we want to put on here. You know, you got a guy like Jack Brubaker returning to the ring, one of the stars of Australian boxing in. Look, he's the biggest personality that we've had floating around here for quite some time. I know Isaac might argue about that, but Jack Brubaker's a hell of a talent. So the fact that he's going to be back on our screens, very exciting. Isaiah Sechi, always in a great fight, always exciting, always entertaining. And, Miles Zalusi and Yusuf Dib, great fight. But the headline fight is the one that's really going to set the tone for what we expect from these shows. Absolute cracker of a fight.
Paulo Aokuso's only had the 4 professional fights. Most recently, when we saw Reynold Quinlan on main event in Fox Sports, he was producing the knockout of the year in Australian boxing, the upset of the year in Australian boxing against Jack Bowen. A dangerous fight for Paulo.
Very dangerous fight. He hasn't had an easy fight since he started. He's a different kind of guy, Paulo Aokuso. You know, he wants the tough fights. He loves the tough fights. And he's fought some fantastic ones so far. This is a massive domestic fight for Paulo. I was ringside for the Jack Bowen fight, what Reynold Quinlan did to Jack Bowen. Jack Bowen is a hell of a talent in Australian boxing, and what Reynold did in that fight, I was metres away from what happened, and I know what he's capable of doing, but that's the thing, is that Paulo's on a fast track to a world title. He really wants to go straight for the top. I love his ambition. He shoots for the top, and, he doesn't want to take no easy route to get there either, and Reynold Quinlan is no easy route, so this is going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, he'll be looking to repeat that upset of the year, Reynold Quinlan, in Australian boxing against that man, Paulo Aokuso, who we'll talk to in just a moment. But let's look what's coming up the following Wednesday night, and history will be made on Fox Sports. It's an all-female card, and it's going to be headlined by a cross-code superstar in Taylor Harris, who's challenging for an Australian title. Have a look at that card as well, and tell us about the idea of an all-female fight night.
Look, I think that's where we're at in Australian boxing. Is you look at the talent on that card there. There's some debutantes. There's some people who haven't been on Fox before. It's a chance for them to really showcase their talents. And Ella Boot, future world champion. Taylor Harris, crossover star. speaking to Taylor, anything that she puts her mind to, she will be successful at. She's a determined athlete and someone with the capability to do anything. Also excited to see Tawana Campbell back on. She's been in exciting fights for us, but the female boxing scene in Australia, you watch a female fight here, you're never disappointed. They come forward and they turn it on. They're made for TV. You know, this is a perfect opportunity to showcase our talent on Fox Sports, the best broadcaster in the country.
Geez, we've seen some exciting female fights in recent years as well. You must have really enjoyed having the girls as part of these big fight nights with No Limit.
Absolutely, and there's probably another 4 or 5 fights that we could have added to that. You know, the enthusiasm from our female fighters, they want to get in and fight. They'll fight anyone, anytime. And, you know, while this is the first time that we've done an all-female card, it definitely won't be the last because we've got plenty more to showcase.
And as well as Taylor, we've got Ella Boot on that card. A lot of expectation around what she's going to do. She's got Johnny Lewis in her corner, and she seems to be something a bit special.
Look, anyone with Johnny Lewis in their corner, you know they've got something special. And Ella Boot, she's never disappointed. She's fought across many weight divisions, and she's impressed every time. Once she locks into her weight division and sets her eyes on that title, I think that there's a huge future for Ella Boot. So make sure you tune in and follow her journey now because she's going to head to the top.
Now, after that card, we have a Wednesday off, and then we're back in action the following week. It's the 9th of August, and it's the return of the always exciting Isaac Hardman. He takes on Japan's Kazuki Kayahara. Always good to see Isaac Hardman back in action. What version do you expect to see?
Look, I think we've been a bit starved of Isaac Hardman. You know, the personality, the knockout capabilities, what he does in the ring. You know, he's a very entertaining fighter. He's a very entertaining person in general. So, you know, we haven't seen enough of Isaac of late, and, you know, I'd love to. I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in action, headlining his own show, and what's going to be a very tough fight. You know, there's not a lot of middleweights out there who want a piece of Isaac Hardman, and you know, we've got a guy willing to step in with him, and Isaac gets to showcase his talents.
He produced the knockout of the year in Australian boxing last year against Bo Hartas. Are you expecting a return of the head splitter?
Look, I think, yes, I do. Absolutely. I think the head splitter's in a really good space right now. You know, he's made for TV. He loves the cameras. He loves putting on a good show, and I think that's what we're going to see, a little bit of Ric Flair action.
Okay, and a little bit after that, on the 23rd of August, we head to main event, and it all culminates with this one, a pay-per-view event with 2 big stars on this card. Nikita Tszyu, of course, undefeated and knocking out everyone in his way, and also Liam Wilson, who's coming off that robbery in the US when he fought for the world title and was agonisingly had it taken away from him. Exciting to see those 2 names up in lights on a card like this.
Oh, absolutely, and this is a progression we've got. We've got these fantastic No Limit on Fox shows leading into a great pay-per-view with our former No Limit on Fox stars in Nikita Tszyu and Liam Wilson. Liam, you know, just coming off a world title fight. Great to see him back in the ring. You know, love watching Liam fight, and this is a big opportunity for him to get back busy, back in action, and ready to hit that top 15 up again and really leave his mark again. I think the fact that he's taken on, you know, one of the great fighters of you know, the current era in Navarrete, what he was able to do in that fight, undoubtedly he won that fight. You know, he deserved to win that fight. It stings a bit. I was right there when it happened. I was there, and you know, I was going crazy, and to see what he did in that performance, you know, against one of the absolute greats, 3-division world champ. You know, it's just good to see him back again and getting ready to make that run again.
I know we're not announcing opponents for those 2 today, but what sort of opponent are you thinking of for Nikita Tszyu? Because he keeps taking out everyone in the first round. You've got to go to another level, don't you?
Absolutely. He showed what he's capable of. You know, a guy at his stage of his career, you know, shouldn't be taking big step-ups, but everybody that he's fought, undefeated guys, he's finishing them in the first round. So now he's got to take a step up. We'll get one of the more established super welterweights in the country for him to have as an opponent. Someone with a bit of experience to test Nikita out again, because that's what it's all about, testing yourself, going to that next level, and that's what all these guys here are about.
All right, George, well, thanks for taking us through all these cards. Before I let you go and talk to the fighters, got to get a thought on what's happening with Tim Tszyu. Can you tell us?
Yeah, look, Tim, obviously disappointing news for all of us. We would have loved to see him, dust up Charlo at the end of the year, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that Tim's not going to fight. Tim will be straight back in the ring. You know what he's like. He hates sitting around. He's already back training. The first thing he did the next morning was got up, went for a run. Now he's in the training camp over in Thailand at the moment. So nothing stops for Tim Tszyu. There's no off button, and we'll have a fight to be able to announce for you, maybe on the back end of these fantastic ones that we've got coming up now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, George Rose from No Limit Boxing. Now we'll talk to the fighters. This man, as you've heard, will headline the first of these shows on Wednesday week against Reynold Quinlan. Paul Aokuso, great to see you. How excited are you to be back headlining a show like this on Fox Sports?
I'm very excited. It'll be my first time headlining a fight. But yeah, I'm excited.
And we've seen you with a big crowd around you, really working towards the buzz of that crowd. But I'm sure you're interested as well in getting a TV audience behind you, which is the opportunity you get on a No Limit on Fox event.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know we're 8 days out, but I know we can get a lot of crowd in.
And talk to us about Reynold Quinlan, someone who you would have seen for years. And it appears when Reynolds on, he's very dangerous. We've seen that against not only Jack Bowen, but Daniel Geale in recent times. He knows how to cause an upset.
Yeah, he's a dangerous fighter. I guess you just got to stay on the whole time. We've been working on that, so we'll have him figured out.
And talk to us about your most recent fight. We're going to have a look at a few of the highlights here. Uneski Gonzalez on the Tim Tszyu undercards. What did you make of this performance, which was not only a performance in front of a big crowd and a big stage here in Australia, but also live on US television?
Yeah, that was a very big step up for me. He was very experienced. I definitely took my time in that fight.
This your favourite moment?
Yeah. I think when I dropped him, I had too much fun, not knowing that there was only 10 seconds left of that round, which I could have finished him in. But I guess I learned a lot from that one too, so it was good.
You've got some major goals. We talked on the Main Event Boxing podcast last week about some big names, including Artur Beterbiev, one of the world champions in your division. I know he's someone you've got an eye on.
He's a beast. I feel like he's on his way out, but I just got to keep knocking his opponents down. So Reynold Quinlan, he's definitely the opponent I've got to get through, and yeah.
Thanks so much. That is Paul Aokuso. You'll see him on Wednesday week, live on Fox Sports. He takes on Reynold Quinlan. Then the following Wednesday night, we're going to see Taylor Harris back in action, and it's great to have her back in action on Fox Sports and on Main Event, a crosscode star in Australian sport and an undefeated professional boxer as well. Taylor, thanks so much for joining us from Melbourne. How excited, firstly, are you to be back and headlining an all-female boxing event?
Trying to get a fight for a little bit. Obviously, I had one a few weeks ago, but it was over relatively quickly. Can't wait to get back in there. I'm always on all year. Obviously, I've got football as well, so I'm always fit. And every time I get the opportunity to step in the ring, I make the most of it, and this is going to be no exception. I think the opportunity that this event holds for me is much bigger than just winning the fight. I think there's a lot to be said about an all-female boxing event, and then for No Limit to have the courage to put it on is something I'm really proud to be a part of, thankful for, and I can't wait to get in there in a few weeks' time.
I know, as well as a world-ranked fighter, you're also a boxing fan. You will have watched a lot of these shows in recent times, and I'm sure you've been proud of seeing the female fight so prominently placed and so high quality as well.
Yeah, absolutely, I have. I'm always either buying the pay-per-view or tuning in and enjoying the spectacle. And yeah, the female fights, as George said, are always entertaining, and mine and Millie's won't be any exception to that. We'll be putting on a great show, fireworks for sure, and I can't wait to hopefully bring home that Australian title that I did have a few years ago, but this is different. Taking it off someone feels a fair bit better, I'm sure.
We saw you on Main Event on a Tim Tszyu undercard a few years ago against Renee Gardner. A great build-up to that fight. It was prominently placed. What was that occasion like for you in front of that big crowd and live on television?
Yeah, that occasion was unbelievable. That event, the stadium, the atmosphere in there on a No Limit show is second to none, so I can't wait to get back on the No Limit show. And yeah, this night was one of my favourite nights. Certainly have come a long way boxing-wise. Watching that, I feel a bit embarrassed, to be honest, because technically not great, but yeah, I've come a long way. That's, I think, 5 years ago or something, which, yeah, you know, much less tattoos there and everything. So, yeah, expect a completely different showcase, particularly boxing skills-wise. I was super raw back then, and I've come a long way. You've come a long way, and you've come a long way with your power as well. 4 knockouts in a row, that seems to be the way you're taking your boxing. Yeah, there was actually an adjustment, a moment I won't forget. The first few fights, there would have been opportunities to knock out my opponent, but I decided not to. I probably was up on my toes and all that. And then my coach said, I don't think this is a sport for you if you're not prepared to knock someone out when you get the opportunity. And as soon as he said that with a little bit of disappointment in his voice, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and do that then. And now I've got that, that real instinct to knock someone out if I see the opportunity. And I'll certainly be doing that on the 26th. OK, well, I guess that's... I was going to ask you for some words for your opponent, Millie Agbo-Agboolan, but I guess you've already said that that's your intent. It's always the intent. It's boxing. It's a sport where there's danger every second. So if you can get out of there quicker and keep yourself safe, then you have to. It's your obligation, and that's what I do, and that's the way I'll operate. Discipline is the word that has been reverberating in camp for me, and I'll be sticking to that. So there won't be any chaotic punches thrown, but it'll certainly be a really disciplined performance, and I can't wait to do it. OK, can't wait to see you back in action. Thanks so much for joining us from Melbourne, Taylor Harris. And we'll move along now to Isaac Hardman, the head splitter, who does return and will be headlining this show against his Japanese opponent, Kazuki Kayahara. Isaac, great to see you back, and it feels like there's a different mood to you in the lead up to this fight. Yeah, it's good to be back here on No Limit, and yeah, a different mood. You know, at the start of the year, I went off to Vegas and mixed it with Caleb Plant and Mosley and Kevin Newman and thought I was a bit of a boxer. And I did that in my last fight, got on my bike and tried to be the boxer. But everyone knows me as the head splitter and getting in people's faces, and that's what I'm going to do now. I've learned that lesson, and it's unfortunate. I've got to learn it on the run and take an L in the journey. But I'm getting in people's faces now, like I always have been, 1 through to 12, and then I'm staying in their face. Well, let's have a look at your most recent victory. This was against Bo Hartas, the knockout of the year in Australian boxing, a scary moment for us ringside. But when you look at this and you talk about what you're wanting to do in this fight, what do you see? Yeah, I just think it's better him than me. So, you know, I got to get back to this. Even this fight I was a bit too nice in the lead up to it. Bo's a good guy, but that's what I'm going to be doing to everyone from now on. And I won't be satisfied unless they're face down like that or toes pointing to the ceiling. What have you seen from your Japanese opponent so far? He's got a good record. Yeah, he's aggressive. So there's not much on him. I can't find too much. I'm not good at the internet thing, but sort of. But yeah, he's aggressive, so he's going to come forward and 2 people meeting in the middle of a boxing ring, and back at middleweight, which I'm excited about. You know, I've jumped up around everywhere, probably to my undoing as well, but I just like to fight. So back in middleweight, and yeah, when I hit people in the middleweight division, they don't keep coming forward. So he's going to find himself on the back, and then sayonara to old mate. And I guess with the nature of the middleweight division as it is at the moment, you don't need too many big wins to get yourself in a really strong position again. No, that's exactly right. I've been sanctioned with the IBF and the WBO once before, really high, 7 and 9. I can cut through really well, so it's pretty slim pickings there. So that's what I'm aiming to do, that by the end of the year, get back in the sanctioned bodies, and then take what's mine. Okay, what are we going to see from you when you do return to the Fox Sports platform on Wednesday, August the 9th? I'm going to steamroll the bloke that's in front of me, and that's the end of story. Fantastic. Can't wait to see the head splitter back in action, and that all leads us to our pay-per-view. This is a Wednesday night as well. It is the 23rd of August. You'll see a couple of very familiar names in Nikita Tszyu and this man, Liam Wilson, who we most recently saw fighting for the world title and falling agonisingly short over in Arizona. Liam, firstly, how do you look back on what happened in the United States with your world title challenge against Emmanuel Navarrete?
Yeah, look, it was a very unfortunate outcome. I was so close to being world champion and fulfilling my dreams. I was cut short by that. The circumstances were unfortunate. A long count. I hurt him again in the 6th round, and he kind of fell over, and that sort of cost me my dream. But it sparked this motivation in me to be world champion. Like I was so close, and I felt like I'm on that path. I can't wait to get back in there and, perform once again in front of Australia and showcase my abilities. It's been a big up and down year for me in the first 6 months of the year. I've just recently signed with Glenn Jennings, manager of Costa Zoo, and now his two younger boys, Tim and Nikita. And I feel very privileged and motivated that he's going to be steering the ship along the way. Look, I'm just excited to get back in the ring. I love fighting. It doesn't matter who it is, the hard fights. And I can't wait to get back there and do exactly what I love doing, and that's fighting.
We're going to have a look at some of the highlights of your most recent Australian win against Matthias Rueda. But as we do that, just tell us about what that experience was like fighting in the US and not only acquitting yourself so well, but getting the respect of the American media, the commentary team, and everyone involved in that event. It must have really solidified to you what you're doing in your journey in boxing.
Yeah, he was a tough bloke, Moreta. He hit very hard. Tough boy. I heard him a few times throughout the fight, and somehow he stuck in there. I broke my hand in the 5th round, I'm pretty sure, and I was one-handed for the next 5 rounds. It was a good learning curve, especially to be durable and to withstand what he could do, and that's being a big puncher. But yeah, I want to get back to that for sure.
And I know we're looking at big international opponents for you for this fight. We won't reveal any names just now, but the idea has to be getting straight back into the very top of your division. Yeah,
look, I just want to get the wheels in motion, take a few hard fights and get back to where I left off, and that's fighting for a world title and winning it this time. Come back to Australia with the belt and, you know, fulfilling my dream. I was so close last time, and, you know, it eats me every day thinking about it. You know, I watch the replays, go on social media, and it kills me to think, you know, like, I felt like it was such a hard fight to win against, I guess, the officials as well. And, you know, I've been working in the gym. I've been working in the gym, grinding, working on my ability, and I can't wait to showcase my skills on fight night.
There's a few big punchers in Australian boxing. Some of them are in this room. Who's the biggest puncher in Australian boxing, do you think, Liam?
I've probably got the left hook. He's got the right hand, and we're both from Caboolture, so.
Yeah.
You know, he once had the Cabo Cartel, and that's us.
All right. Thanks so much. Great to see Liam Wilson back in action. You'll see him as part of this pay-per-view event on August the 23rd, as well as this man, the undefeated Nikita Tszyu. Nikita, great to see you back in action so quickly. I said to George that you probably have to try and go to another level in terms of opponents and their experience now because you're cleaning everyone out.
Yeah, we're looking at increasing the tempo, increasing the intensity. We're going to 8 rounds this time, so hopefully Bomber's a little bit proud of me.
Well, it doesn't matter how many rounds you go if you take them out in the first round, does it?
Yeah, look, it's never the intention. It was kind of a bit of a shame that the fight was ended so quickly. There was so much build up to it. There was so many words said, and it's unfortunate that the first punch I kind of landed was the one that really changed the tempo of everything.
So you're saying it's unfortunate that you knocked your opponent out?
Yeah, because for me, like, I'm still trying to gain more experience. That's the main thing for me. I couldn't care less about the knockouts. I'm trying to level up and trying to really build my skills. And you don't get that with a 1-round fight. You get that through a tough fight, one that goes close to the distance. It's not something that I'm going to cry about, that I got the knockout, but it's not something I'm like fully proud of because I'm trying to become the best version of myself. And that's done through pushing yourself.
So with that in mind, will you be looking to a more experienced opponent next time around who'll hopefully take you some rounds?
Yeah, this time around we're looking for someone who's definitely a little bit more experienced and who's willing to, or who's able to probably go the distance. And that's the kind of fight that I need, the kind of fight I need to take that next step and really keep pushing myself.
Exciting to be a part of a show like this alongside someone like Liam Wilson, who you will have been watching for years.
Yeah, I've really admired him for a long time. I remember when we were in the amateur days, just watching him fight. I think it was the Adelaide Australian Open or the Perth one. I remember seeing him fight, and yeah, I've known him for a long time, and now we're signed by the same person, same management, the wonderful Glenn Jennings. Shout out to you. And yeah, it's great to be able to share the ring and share the night with him.
How much are you enjoying this journey, Nikita? Because it's only a recent one. You were doing other things. You followed your brother essentially into professional boxing after your great father did his thing. How much fun is it?
I'm adapting pretty well to it. I'm getting used to the cameras, the interviews. It was a bit of a shock at first, but I've learned to just enjoy the moments and really just make the most of it all. I used to really stress about interviews. I used to get really nervous what am I going to say, but now I just got like a little free-flowing mind to myself, and I just say whatever. And if I say the wrong thing, I say the wrong thing, whatever.
Yeah, that's the way to be.
It's the attitude to have.
Well, that is Nikita Tszyu, and he'll be part of that pay-per-view event. Let's have a look at this whole schedule that we've just announced here on Fox Sports today. So to repeat, July 19, Aokuso and Quinlan on Fox Sports. July 26, it is Agbo Bulan against Taylor Harris. August 9, Isaac Hardman returns against Kaya Hara. Then we have a main event pay-per-view event on August the 23rd. Nikita Tszyu and Liam Wilson both to be featured on that. Thanks so much to all of our guests for joining us to announce this big 5 weeks of boxing that you'll see live on Fox Sports.